Alright, so you have this anti-abortion person here, this horrible picture and posters about how this is not healthcare. Does anybody even care? And it was something about Jesus on the other side. So I want to go up and ask her a few questions. Excuse me, ma'am. May I ask you about what this is about?
I'm just bringing awareness about what abortion does to a baby in the womb.
Well, can I have your opinion on this, please?
Yeah, I believe it's murder
Why is it murder?
because it's the taking of a human life, an innocent life.
Well, what if the woman is suffering? What if the baby is too much for her and is risking both the life of her and the baby? And the only way to save her would be through the abortion.
Well, there's been former abortionists who have been interviewed on this subject, and they've said they've never had to do an abortion on a woman to save her life.
Really?
Never.
There are countless reports of that happening.
They don't exist.
Do they?
No, they don't exist.
Do you mind if I look it up right now? All right.
In fact, just yesterday, I had a friend of mine in Wisconsin. Her little baby died in her womb.
Really?
Yeah, and she gave birth to that
Really?
baby. Yeah. He was a stillborn. So, but I know that people try to make that claim that women will die if they give birth, and that's killing the baby is not the answer to a woman whose life really is in danger. The solution is to take care of the baby and the mother. So what you do is the doctor would provide prenatal care for the mother and the baby. So when they discover that there's something off, if a woman is starting to develop like hypoglycemia or something, or if she has a heart condition, the doctors monitor that along with the baby.
Okay.
And so if it looks like a woman might have a cardiac arrest or something, or an aneurysm or something, then they have enough time to take the woman to a hospital to have an emergency cesarean section. So there really is no need to kill the baby in the womb to save the mother's life.
Well, I'm looking here. So you're saying there's no need to?
Right.
However, there are some women, yes, it's less than 1%. However, there are some women who had to get an abortion to save their own life.
No, they don't. That's just a lie. That's not true. Because they just have the surgery. And if the baby's too young to survive outside the womb, then they give their baby a proper burial. The baby just dies naturally.
But what if allowing the baby to die naturally ends up killing the woman in the
No,
process?
it doesn't. I mean, you can't guarantee every situation. But what you're saying and what abortion advocates say is that we have to keep it decriminalized just in case that somebody decides that they might die. They don't know if they will or not, but the baby's not the reason for if any woman's life really is in danger. It's not because of the baby. It's because of like cancer or a heart condition, a kidney condition.
So you're going to
It's not
blame the
baby.
woman?
It's nobody's fault. It's a condition that can develop, a health condition that the mother develops apart from the baby. Has nothing to do with the baby.
So how about this? What if it causes a severe health condition to the child, where once it's born, it has these cancerous cells in it, and it ends up dying just shortly after its birth?
What about that? That's a natural death.
So it's a natural death to you?
Yeah, it happens all the time. So I was telling you, my friend had a baby who died. They did an autopsy. They think that something was deformed in his development in his skull, inside his skull. His skull didn't develop properly or something, and that's why he was stillborn. He died just a week before he was due to be born. But she didn't have to kill him. He died naturally.
Well, tell your friend that I do send my thoughts and
Well, but I'm just saying that abortion advocates try to use like that type of an example as a way to say we must keep abortion decriminalized, and we don't.
So how about rape victims?
Well,
Women who never had a choice, and they end up not either being too young to support the child, either being too poor to support the child with no support, or they don't want the child because it reminds them of that traumatic event.
well, actually, if you do some research on that, there are women. Let me get some. There are women that I know personally who have conceived a baby that was raped. Their baby was conceived in rape.
Mm-hmm.
My friend Anna Ritchie, she was raped by her stepfather, and she gave birth to a baby girl when she was 13 years old. And this is her personal story of how she loved her baby and how her and her mother raised that baby together. They had the man arrested, and he's still in prison, as he should be.
And that's good.
But she didn't kill her baby.
But what if the woman is brought back so much pain, so much fear, and so much hate that she wants to abort this baby?
What it is women need to be comforted during when a rape
But not all
situation.
women are comforting.
We all need to do our share to comfort one another. So when a woman is raped, the answer is not to pressure her to kill her baby.
But she isn't pressured to kill her child. She makes the decision on her own.
No. The vast majority, and you can talk to a rape victim who's gotten pregnant through rape. There is so much pressure from our society for her to kill that baby. There's this thing of that rape baby is so horrible. You know what I mean? I even asked a guy one time, do you think the baby would be an alien? And he said, yeah. So, see, the people have this concept that somehow a rape-conceived baby is less than human. I mean, isn't that kind of like the first thought? Like that
Well,
baby
it
is gonna be
isn't.
so ugly?
But it isn't less than human.
But
And
you're
the man who
discriminating.
said that the baby's an alien is a disgusting person. However, what if it does bring the woman pain?
But it won't. It doesn't.
But it does bring women pain.
Do you know a woman who's conceived a baby in rape?
Yes, many women.
Like your mom or someone?
No, but my mother has talked to dozens upon dozens of women.
Was your mother raped?
No. Why?
Because she's never had that experience.
But she has talked to countless women in my community who have had this happen to them, and their lives have gone down a horrible spiral into depression, self-hate, and some of them even kill themselves.
But women,
They end up homeless with this child that they never wanted, who
like where?
and sometimes what ends up happening is that women will abandon their children.
Where's this at? Where's this happening?
In Lake Orion,
Where's Lake Orion at?
in Michigan.
Okay, so there's not a system in place to help women.
No.
Well, that's the solution. The solution is not to kill the baby. The solution.
But in the current environment we are in, for the women who are suffering like this, there's not much of a choice. It's either they sacrifice themselves, or
is there something wrong with
they
that?
have to give away the child. Sacrificing themselves?
I sacrifice a lot of my time for my kids and other people. I do.
So you would sacrifice your home, you'd sacrifice your family
For what?
for the
baby,
child.
For a baby, yes, absolutely. See, I would seek help. If I was raped and I got pregnant, I would seek help for me.
But what
and
if
my
the
baby.
help isn't there?
I would
What
keep
if the woman
searching.
struggles to
I
find
would
help?
keep searching. That's what I'm saying. I'm a fighter. I'm a winner. I would keep fighting to get help. I would keep searching for help. I would find it.
So I also need to ask you another thing. What if a woman who was raped ends up hating her child so much? She gave birth to the child, but she hates this child so much. She abuses it. She neglects it. The child ends up broken, ends up suffering depression, ends up wanting to commit suicide.
That happens
And what if there's nothing, and what if there's no support for the child? What if they're not going to school? What if they have no health care? What would happen? This child's life was, this child didn't have a say in whether it wanted to be born or not. This child didn't have a say in whether it wanted its mother to abuse it and neglect it. And now it needs to suffer the consequences of something it never wanted.
Well,
Is that humane?
Well, is it humane that I was raised in a home where I was raped at 9 years old?
No, it's not.
Okay, but see, that has nothing to do with killing a baby. See, allowing women to kill their babies has nothing to do with what you're describing. See, the problem is the human heart. Humans need to be more loving to one another, and we need to find solutions to rape. Like, why are men raping women? What's the solution? See, the solution is babies, because that actually...
The solution is to tell the men not to rape.
Right, and the way that we can ultimately solve a sin problem, we all have it, and we all have to fight against it, and it's only through Christ, Jesus Christ, that we can overcome this dark side of this sin that we all, in our flesh, we want to do the wrong thing, And so the solution is the living water of Christ, and to love our neighbor. Jesus even said that there were two greatest commands: love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Under those two commands hang the whole law.
I don't remember hearing those two commands or reading those two commands anywhere in the Bible.
It is. It's in the New Testament. I can't think exactly where it's at. Love your neighbor as yourself. You've never heard of that? Love your neighbors. I know in Luke chapter 10. You have your Bible open?
I'm looking at I don't have a Bible, ma'am. I'm atheist.
Oh, okay. Well, you can get a Bible app.
Well, ma'am, can you please respect that I'm atheist? However, I'm trying to listen to it perspective, so I'm trying to listen to it from a religious perspective.
Okay.
So,
why are you an atheist?
Because God betrayed me. Because I felt betrayed by God.
Okay, then you acknowledge God. You acknowledge Him. You're not an atheist, then you acknowledge it.
Why am I not an atheist?
An atheist is someone who denies the existence of God. But you're saying it's because of God that you're an atheist.
I denied Him.
But that doesn't make you an atheist. That just makes you an agnostic.
I'm an atheist, ma'am. Ma'am, I am an atheist. I'm acknowledging that your God exists, and your God had turned his back. I felt your God turned his back on me. And now I'm doing completely fine without him.
So who gives you your life?
Hmm?
Who breathes life into you? How do you have your lungs and your blood? And
I breathe life into myself.
so you created yourself?
Science did, ma'am. My mother and father came together. The sperm fertilized the egg, and I came into existence.
Great. Hence, the case for human life in the womb. You were a human being in the womb at conception, and that life, all that life needs to be protected. That's why I'm here, to protect all life.
So how about when the baby is born? So I hear a lot of people who are anti-abortion talk about protecting the child in the womb, protecting this innocent human life in the womb. Telling the woman to keep the child no matter how much she suffers. However, once the child is born, suddenly there's no support. If she's working, she's not allowed to take maternity leave. She doesn't get paid during that time. She gets no support, especially as a single mother.
I was a single mother for 4 years with 3 children. I got help, but I had to ask for
But not all women get help, despite asking for it. Women will search and search and search and try to find that help with all their hearts, to try and find the best for themselves and for their child. Nothing happens, and they don't get the help.
Well, there's 5 killing centers here in Tampa, and
They're abortion centers, ma'am. Please call them as they are.
well,
Abortion
it's murder in the
centers.
womb. That's what abortion is.
It's abortion, ma'am. Please call it abortion.
I know you want to control me, but I see
I'm not
it as
trying to control you. I'm just trying to state the facts. They are abortion clinics, ma'am.
Okay. Well, what happened was when I got there in front of this one murder mill, I saw a lady around my age, pacing in the parking lot, and I called over to her to come talk to me, and I asked her why she was there, and she said that her daughter, who was 21 years old, was going to Tampa University, and she was pregnant, and she didn't want the baby.
Do you know the source of the pregnancy at all? Do you remember the source?
Well, according to this grandmother, she said that it was her boyfriend. She had sex. Her daughter had sex with a guy in college and got pregnant. And there was no mention of where the father was. There was just this mother of this baby in the womb didn't want to raise the baby, because it's not because she didn't have help. It's not because she doesn't have medical insurance. It's because she doesn't want to raise a baby. She wants to go to college. She doesn't want the baby.
Is that wrong, ma'am?
Yes.
Wanting to.
Because you're wanting to take the life of another person over your convenience.
It's not her convenience, ma'am. It's over her life. It's over her future.
Right, and it's a different future than what she originally planned. She needs to make that adjustment. A human life deserves that adjustment in our life. It's the way it is. When you become a parent, you need to make those sacrifices. You need to make those sacrifices. What happened to you that made you anti-God?
I was betrayed by my friends.
How were you betrayed? What happened?
In middle school, I was made fun of.
I was made
I
fun
was
of.
bullied.
See my scar on my nose?
I got to the point of where I wanted to commit suicide.
I did too.
And I prayed to God. I prayed over and over and over again, and I never got a response.
What were you expecting?
I was expecting to have friends. I was expecting to have people who loved me, who could pull me out of this pit of despair I was in. However, it never happened.
Well, then you're here by yourself?
I found the power myself to
You're
pull myself
here
out
by
of the
yourself
pit.
today?
No, I'm not.
Well, you have
Because I pulled myself out of the pit. Because I stopped relying on a higher being to
God
help me
answered your
out.
prayer.
No, I
answered
pulled
your-
myself out.
God answered
I
your-
found the strength in myself. Because
God was
for
there.
me, believing in God made me weak.
No, God
So once I found that
rescued
strength,
you. God rescued you in that situation.
I didn't believe in Him. I don't believe in
I
Him.
realize you're still in rebellion right now, but
I'm 18, ma'am.
he's still. Well, I mean, you do look young for your age.
Seriously? You're going to disgrace us with that in the presence of that?
What's wrong?
You have these awful pictures here of something that's a very private matter for people, and you're taking it and displaying it like it should be just something that's normal speak among children.
Murder's not a private issue.
This is not murder.
This is not murder,
This is
ma'am.
a choice.
Well, you need to look at it.
I think it's a bullshit, and if it's my body, then I don't have to,
Well,
do
you
I?
need to look at your choice.
No, I don't think
You
so.
need to look at your choice.
Fuck you.
That was very rude. However,
But that's normal.
I agree with her. This is a choice, ma'am. Having an abortion is a choice.
Well, you have a choice to rape somebody if you want,
Yeah.
but some choices are wrong. Murdering a baby in the womb is wrong because it's taken an innocent life. That baby has a right to life just like you and me. But no, God answered you. You were too impatient with Him.
No, I wasn't.
He's there. God is there.
Then why don't I feel Him?
Because right now you're in rebellion.
So you're saying when I grow up, I'll come to accept Him?
Well, the Bible says, God says in His Word that He is close to the brokenhearted. See, at that time in your life when you were really feeling down and rejected by other people, we're not supposed to rely on other people for our happiness, number one. We're supposed to rely on God for our sustenance. We're to acknowledge Him as our Lord and Savior. When you acknowledge Him as your Creator, you know, your whole mindset changes when you acknowledge Him and you turn inward toward Him, not to yourself, but to Him. And you submit yourself, saying, God, you created me. I'm all yours. What do you want? I mean, I was on the brink of being homeless myself a couple times. You know, I've been at the moment of despair where I wanted to commit suicide. I was totally bankrupt. And this was coming from when I was a single mother for 4 years, raised 3 children for 4 years by myself. And when I remarried, my husband my second husband, he bankrupted me. I mean, I was ready for suicide. But, you know, I just cried out to God and said, your will be done, God, whatever that is. I want to be his voice piece. I want to be his messenger. I want everlasting life, because that is the only promise of everlasting life is through Christ. Now, what do you think is going to happen to you when you die on
You're
this
done.
earth? Huh?
You're done.
Okay? But according to God's law, according to God's word, you can have everlasting life if you want it.
Is there any proof of that?
Well, yeah, Jesus was raised from the dead 2,000 years ago.
Is there any documented proof of that? Has there been an eyewitness to that?
Well, that's what. That's
Or was
what
that story written by man who created God?
It was witnessed by eyewitnesses. It was written by eyewitnesses that witnessed it, and that's why that literature, those writings have survived all these years, because it's true.
Ma'am, these scriptures have changed, and there are many different translations, and there are many different interpretations of this. What would the scripture you read be the true word of God, and all these other scriptures be falsehoods?
Well, it depends on exactly what the core message is. There are some misunderstandings, even among Christians, on different aspects, but the core belief is that God had to redeem mankind, rebelled against God, and had to be redeemed. And in God's economy, he set it up so that it was only by a blood sacrifice that our penalty for our sin, the only way that we can be reconciled back to God is through a blood sacrifice, where you put you're transferring your sins onto that sacrifice. When Jesus came, there was a promise that the Messiah was going to come, and this was God's only Son. God made himself, his Son, flesh and bone here on earth to be that blood sacrifice for us, for our full payment. And when you receive that blood sacrifice, when you believe in that you need that blood sacrifice as your full payment to reconcile you to God, it's the promise of everlasting life. That once our bodies give out, this flesh and bone gives out, that our soul will carry on in everlasting life in a place called heaven. There is no hell. That's been a lie that was perpetrated around the time that Jesus came on earth 2,000 years ago.
Well, I'm glad you don't believe in hell, ma'am.
But because I've done a lot of in-depth study, and I discovered that it was a lie that developed between the two testaments. When the Old Testament was, when there was a period of silence, when God didn't speak to Israel, and it was during that 400 years that the Greek mythology, they began to their philosophy, they began to incorporate this eternal hell. That's where it came from. So by the time Jesus came into the picture, all that mythology, that philosophy had been interwoven into the Jewish belief system. And that's why there were some Jews that were preaching that believed that there was an eternal hell. But it was never part of God's plan. Never. It doesn't exist.
I'm glad you don't believe
There's
in hell,
only
ma'am.
eternal life, and like you said, apart from Christ, there is nothing. I mean, your soul will die and will just be nothing.
So that's what you think will happen to people who don't believe in God?
We don't believe that Christ, that Jesus is the living water, that he's the one who gives us life. At the end of the book of Revelation, after God, which came to fruition, by the way, a lot of people think that's future. No, it's part of history. It happened in 70 AD when God destroyed the temple in Jerusalem in 70 AD. That was the promise of his coming. When he told them he was coming back to judge the nation of Israel, and he wiped out the whole Jewish law. All that is gone. The old animal sacrifice, all that's gone. So Judaism is a dead religion. It's now, that's what we call Christianity. It's everybody who follows
But
Christ.
Jewish are still around today,
Well,
ma'am.
yeah, we do have the nationality, the bloodline of
No,
the
but there are people who believe in the Jewish culture, who
Right.
believe in the Jewish religion.
Right, but
Are you saying that they don't exist?
no, what I'm saying is that the power of God is no longer in their little ethnical group anymore. It once was. But
But
God,
they still believe in a God.
Well-
Are you saying that God is false?
if they reject Christ, then they're believing in a different God.
They aren't rejecting Christ, ma'am.
Well,
They believe in God still. They
Judaism.
believe in,
They
in Jesus.
reject-
Jesus was a Jew,
right?
ma'am.
Yes, he was, and they're the ones who wanted him crucified. Was the religious leaders, the Jewish religious leaders.
It was the Romans, ma'am.
Well, they're the ones that carried out the judgment, but it was the Jewish religious leaders who wanted it crucified. They were the ones